Hey everyone, that was my take on the solo to Freebird by Alan Collins and Lynyrd Skynyrd, coming in at number 3 on Guitar World Magazine's Top 100 Solos of All Time. Bit of a famous solo, that one. Maybe you've heard it before. Well now, what can one say about Freebird that hasn't already been said 1,000 times over? Truly one of the most classic and well-known guitar solos of all time. Put down, for the most part, by Lynyrd Skynyrd guitarist Alan Collins, with a little help from his friends. Poor Alan Collins, Christ, what a tragic and sad life this guy lived. Despite his fame and I suppose fortune as the lead guitarist, chief songwriter, and one of the founding members of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Fortunate enough to survive that infamous 1977 plane crash that killed 3 other Lynyrd Skynyrd band members, including band leader, lead singer, and Collins's songwriting partner, Ronnie Van Zant. Collins was, however, seriously injured in the crash, suffering a broken neck. He had like 2 broken vertebrae in his neck and severe damage to his right arm. While amputation of the arm was recommended by doctors, Alan Collins' father refused, and Alan eventually recovered and was still able to play guitar, thankfully. After the tragedy, he would go on to have some level of success with the reformed Rossington Collins Band in the early 80s, but nowhere near the level enjoyed by Lynyrd Skynyrd in their prime. Tragedy, however, would strike again just as the Rossington Collins Band was getting off the ground. In 1980, during the first days of their debut concert tour, Alan Collins' wife, Kathy, suddenly died of a hemorrhage during the miscarriage of their 3rd child. This forced the tour's cancellation, and with the lingering effects of losing most of his friends and bandmates in the plane crash, Kathy's death devastated Alan Collins. Sadly, the darker side of life wasn't finished with Alan Collins just yet. It had one more devastating blow to deliver, this time mostly as a result of Collins' own negligence and recklessness. In January of 1986, Collins was driving, drunk, mind you, his brand new black Ford Thunderbird when he was involved in a car accident that claimed the life of his new girlfriend at the time, Deborah Jean Watts. The accident would permanently paralyze the guitarist from the waist down and also leave him with very limited use of his arms and hands, and he would never play guitar on stage again. Sadly, Alan Collins died 4 years later in 1990 from chronic pneumonia, a complication brought on by his paralysis. And he's buried beside his wife Kathy in Jacksonville, Florida. In 2006, Alan Collins was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Bloody hell, what a sad, tragic life. Anyway, carrying on. I was actually a little bit surprised by the relative ease of this one. I knew that it was somewhat repetitive throughout its running length, but the length of it, the length of this solo still scared me a little bit. However, the melodies and licks within the solo are so well structured and memorable that it was actually a bit of a breeze remembering it all. Not much trouble at all, really. It's one of those solos that's actually easier to play than it sounds. And you'll see this on numerous YouTube videos about solos that are easier than you think they are. And not to be critical, as I try my best to be positive with regards to almost every solo I've played on this list. But from start to finish of this solo, it's basically nothing but blues licks. Licks that every soloist learned pretty much right from the get-go. It's just that there are a hell of a lot of them. That said, it does get pretty quick at times. There's also some very fast little legato fills here and there, and some of these blues licks can certainly get moving at a pretty good clip at times. Now, the top comment on my previous video for the number 4 greatest guitar solo of all time, Comfortably Numb, is by a guy named Chris. Hi, Chris. He stated this about Comfortably Numb. Comfortably Numb, as a song, I'm over. I've heard it a million times, but I'll always stop what I'm doing to listen to that guitar solo. And that's pretty much how I feel about this one. I've heard Freebird enough in my life. The song itself does nothing for me anymore. But the solo itself, despite its somewhat repetitive nature at times, is just so damned iconic, intense, and full of life that I still enjoy listening to it. And I damn sure love playing it. Whatever you want to say about all those classic, well-known blues licks that fill the Freebird solo, they're a hell of a lot of fun to play, especially at this intensity. Like I mentioned earlier, the main thing that I thought would give me trouble was remembering the whole thing. It's not the longest solo on this list. That honor would go to Machine Gun by Jimi Hendrix and Maggot Brain by Eddie Hazel and Funkadelic, both over 10 minutes long. But it's pretty damn long. It's nearly 5 minutes. Though I have to say, another long one on this list gave me way more trouble when it came to remembering it all. And that would be the 3.5 minute long Blue Sky by Duane Allman and Dickie Betts of the Allman Brothers Band. Lots of classic blues licks in that one as well, but very little repetition. Blue Sky rarely repeated the same thing twice in its 3.5 minute runtime. This one, Freebird, is just so memorable, and it's such a famous solo that I've heard 1,000 times that it was actually pretty easy to remember it all. I already had the whole thing in my head before I even sat down to learn it. And what more do you want from a great solo? You want it to be memorable, a solo that you can hum or sing along to. And that is definitely what Allen Collins put down here. Though there are numerous guitars going on within this solo, it was Allen Collins who played the bulk of it, with the other guitarists throwing in lead lines and a few harmony lines here and there under Allen's playing. I played it straight, didn't play multiple guitar parts on this one. Almost impossible at times to hear what some of the other guitarists are doing under Allen's playing anyway. So I figured that I would just give this one a straight shot in one take. I hope you like my take on this one. I had a blast playing it, as you may have noticed from my performance. 3 left. Number 2, one more honorable mention, and then number 1 to finish this whole project up. Many of you asked, what's next? Well, I'll tell you what's next because I've finally decided what I'm going to do. I'm putting together a top 50 list of the greatest underrated / underappreciated or unknown guitar solos of all time, and I'm going to work my way through them from 50 down to number 1. I've currently got about 35 solos picked out, but nothing concrete yet, and nothing put in any kind of order as of yet either. But I would love to get some feedback from you guys on this one, so please drop a comment down below. Tell me what you've got, what you feel are some of the most underrated, underappreciated, or unknown guitar solos of all time. I'm always looking for new ideas for this project. I'm going to stick to pretty much the same format going forward. Countdown from 50 to number 1. Maybe get this thing done in a year. Learn it, play it, try my best to replicate it, and then follow it up with a 5 to 10 minute commentary on why I feel it is one of the great unsung guitar solos of all time. I'm also going to be trying my best to increase the number of tutorials on my channel as well. I don't do a whole lot right now, but some of the ones that I've done have done quite well as far as views go. So we're going to be pumping out more tutorials in the future. Well, I hope you're well. That's all I have to say about that one. Hope you're well, staying safe and playing hard in your little guitar corner of the world. Got a little Mr. Eddie Van Halen up next, and then my final honorable mention before finishing this whole project up with Freebird again at number 1. Just kidding. I think you all know what number 1's going to be, but if you don't, I'll leave you in suspense. It's Stairway to Heaven. And we'll see you next time. Ciao.